Here's the story in a nutshell of how Jailbreak Toys got started. I was either 26 or 27 years old and thoroughly destitute. I was, another young, poor artist in New York trying to figure out how to use my skills to make a buck and pay for my rent. And so basically, I'd studied sculpture in college. And I'm sure anyone who's ever worked in art knows that selling sculptures ain't the best way to get your bills paid. So I came up with a simple question of how can I sell sculptures? And the answer was to make them cheaper, which meant mass producing them. Then, what's a mass-produced sculpture? It's really just a toy. And so from there, it got me to the question of why do people buy toys in the first place? Why would I buy a little piece of plastic that's shaped like Mickey Mouse? Obviously, it's not because I collect plastic. It's because for one reason or another, I identify with Mickey Mouse. I love the character. So from there, it was just like, okay, obviously, first of all, I can't afford to pay rights to any company. I couldn't get Disney on board for my little art project, so that was all out of the question anyway. But it led me to the bigger question of who do I love? Who do other people love and identify with? And for me, it was all these characters out of history, not just any character, because I do try really hard to select the ones who speak to me on the most emotional level, whose life story is the most compelling and driving, inspirational or tragic. Tesla, who I've done, the man just has the most beautifully tragic life story that I've ever heard. But so each of them, in one way or another, their faces are known, their stories are known, and to at least a certain thinking segment of the population out there, we love them, we relate to them. So I took the Mickey Mouse philosophy of cuteness, I mixed it with the Einsteinian genius, and I came up with Oddfellows. The first one I have right here. It's the Oddfellows Genius Collection, which, if I can still remember it, it's Picasso, Beethoven, Einstein, Freud, and Shakespeare. You can't go wrong with any of those guys. So I put together the Genius Collection, and it worked out pretty well. And then from there, I managed to spin out so far an Artist Collection, a Revolutionaries Collection, a Writers Collection, and now I just came out with the Scientists. Basically, I decided to get rid of a lot of the typical trappings of an action figure when I did it. I decided that what it comes down to is a facial feature and body language. So the heads are about as big as the rest of the body, and the body just, see Che's got his chest puffed out over here. The body language tells you a lot about how they're feeling, the spirit that they had. But most of the work's in the face. Honestly, when I started doing this, I did not know there was a toy subculture that existed, or it's the urban vinyl culture. I had no idea that it existed, and I don't really consider myself a part of it. I think by virtue of what I've done, I've more and more become a part of it. I just had this show that was, totally something straight out of the urban vinyl movement, having artists paint up a figure. And a lot of the artists that I had, there were people who are a part of that movement. So I guess people now know me and they know my work over there, but I don't consider myself a part of any movement. I don't think I ever have considered myself a part of a movement in general. What I do view myself as, this only became clear last year. I went to Hong Kong, and basically I view myself as an artist using factories as my medium. What happened was I went to a gift fair in Hong Kong, and I'm not the typical person walking a gift fair in Hong Kong. I'm far younger, I'm far more casually dressed, and I don't shave all that often. So I don't think that most of the Asian businessmen even really knew what to make of me. And that's when I realized what I'm doing here is I'm an artist. I'm walking around and I'm seeing what these people are capable of producing with their factory and wondering, how can I take that and make it cool? How can I take that and make it mine? How can I use it to make a statement? Because whatever they're making, their intention is not to do anything like what I've done here. They're marketing things towards kids. They're supposed to be cute. They're supposed to have some little, amusing use. This is something that I picked up when I was in Hong Kong. like I was saying before, it's always a Disney character in some cute little medium. In this case, it's solar powered, and his head starts to bobble side to side when he's got enough light, which maybe he doesn't right now. But I see this, and it's just like, oh well. So you have the technology to make something's head bobble side to side at a sort of rhythmic pace, and yeah, you could make a little Disney character with it. But for me, it's like, oh, could I take this and just create something totally new with it? Can I use a different character out of history? But I feel like I've done that before already. So, I'll figure out something new to do with this kind of technology. I'm looking around this trade show in China, and it's like, what's my role here? And it's just to do what the artist has always done. You look at something and you ask yourself, how can I make it into something more? How can I make it into something that no one's ever used it before? And I think the idea of using factories as a medium, if you will, is so perfectly 21st century.
There are more clips in our Jason Feinberg special. Watch step by step as an action figure gets made. Take a guided tour through a gallery full of Obamas. And learn more about Jason Feinberg's other action figures. All of this and more brought to you by Screen Kids TV.